The phone used to buzz every few minutes. Notifications, messages, calls that blurred into one another. Sarah thought that was what connection meant, being needed. Her friends joked that she was everyone's emergency contact, and she laughed along, even though a part of her always felt tired. There was something oddly satisfying about being wanted, even if it drained her dry. But it wasn't until the night she stared at her reflection, eyes rimmed red, smile half frozen from exhaustion, that she realized she didn't recognize herself anymore. She used to love quiet mornings. Coffee, a book, sunlight on the curtains. But somewhere along the way, silence became her enemy. It made her uneasy, almost guilty. If she wasn't answering someone's text, if she wasn't fixing someone's crisis, she felt she was failing some invisible duty. Her availability had become her identity. Then came the day everything began to shift. It wasn't dramatic. There was no explosion or betrayal. Just a single decision, one that felt small, almost trivial at first. She turned her phone off. No explanation. No announcement. Just silence. At first, it was chaos. The anxiety was unbearable. What if someone needed her? What if she missed something important? Her mind ran wild with imagined consequences. But the world didn't end. No one died. No one even came knocking. The day stretched before her, long and unsettlingly empty. By evening, she began to notice things she hadn't felt in years, the hum of the refrigerator, the tick of the clock, the sound of her own breathing. There was something sacred about it. A stillness that didn't ask for anything, didn't demand she perform or fix or prove. She slept that night for the first time in months, deep, dreamless, peaceful. The next morning, she turned her phone back on. Dozens of messages poured in. Where were you? Are you okay? I needed to talk. But as she scrolled, something inside her changed. The urgency that once gripped her chest was gone. She replied to a few, slowly, thoughtfully. She no longer felt the reflex to apologize. Over the following weeks, Sarah began to withdraw, not in a cruel or distant way, but in a deliberate one. She said no to plans that didn't feel right. She stopped explaining herself. She listened more to what she wanted than to what was expected. And that's when people started to notice. Some reacted with confusion. Others with irritation. You've changed, they said, as if it were an accusation. She smiled softly. Yes, she replied, I finally have. The truth was, she hadn't changed overnight, she had simply stopped betraying herself. Every time she ignored her own needs to accommodate someone else's comfort, she chipped away at her soul. Now, she was piecing it back together, one quiet moment at a time. Then came the turning point. Her closest friend, Mark, called late one night, his voice sharp with anger. You've become selfish, he said. You don't answer anymore. You don't care. Sarah's heart clenched. Old instincts urged her to apologize, to rush and reassure him. But something steadier rose instead. I do care, she said calmly. I just don't owe myself to everyone all the time. There was silence on the other end. For a moment, she feared she'd lost him. But then he sighed. Maybe I just miss the old you. So do I, she whispered. But she was dying trying to please everyone. That night, Sarah understood what Jung meant when he said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. She had spent years unconsciously giving herself away, thinking it was kindness. It wasn't.